What's up? It's your boy Tarek Ali and welcome. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me turn the brightness down on my computer because I was like, that's gonna come up on my face. And what's up? It's your boy Tarek Ali. Welcome back to your voice channel. How are you doing? I hope that you're being positive. I hope that you're being happy. Today's video is a continuation of one of my other videos. In my other video, I talked about what is black. What does it mean to be black? And you know, really getting into what that means. The reason I was actually doing that video, I was gonna drop that video and then drop this video 2 days later. The main conversation that I wanted to have was the N-word. Was because, you know, the whole Gina Rodriguez thing happened when she used the N-word and then it causes big mess and it happens every 2 months, okay? It happens every 2 months. It's annoying. I'm sick of talking about this. I wanted to talk about the N-word, but then people really jump to, if you're not black, don't use the N-word, but then people don't know what black is. So let me just explain it and let's really get into this conversation and then have a conversation of what it means to be black, because before we can have a conversation about the N-word or experiences or things that are attached to culture and black culture, we have to establish who is black, who is in that umbrella term, who is in that community, and that's why I made the video, Who is Black? So if you haven't seen that already, please make sure that you, where is it at? Up here, somewhere, girl. You go and watch that video right now. Yeah. Please make sure that you like and you subscribe to this video. Please remember that I don't say anything to be right. I come here to start the conversation. I don't expect you to agree with everything that I say. I just expect you to listen and to start the conversation with, in the comments and with someone else in your life, okay? It's just here so that we can get the conversation started, okay? So let's get into it, okay? So when we get into this conversation of who can use the N-word, honestly, I'm so sick of I'm so sick and tired of talking about this. But look, I think the easy route would just to tell people to stop using the word altogether, but that's just impractical. It's just impractical. Like, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a realist, and that's just not realistic. Like, yes, I wish we could just get rid of this word because it just creates so much problems. It comes from so much hurt, and I really do wish it could just be erased. But honey, that's impractical. It's not happening. It's really not happening. So let's really just throw that away, and now let's have a conversation of where we can go from here. The N-word has different meanings for everyone, okay? The N-word to me is completely different for the N-word to my grandparents because they have a different experience. My grandparents, when they were coming up, the N-word was very, like, hurtful, okay? Because they heard it during their childhood. White people called them nigga all the time. These days, you'll meet a lot of black people that may have never had an experience where a white person called them nigga. They may have seen it in a TV show, they may have heard about it, but not a lot of people have these experiences, and that's why people say, oh, I wish a bitch would, like, I wish a white person would, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, because we've come to a place now where white people know better, or non-black people know better not to use the N-word with us. And so it's different for me than it is with my grandparents and other people that come from a different time. And it's not only a different time and generation, it also has to do with where you're from. Okay, because if you're from New York, you might not face as much racism as somebody who lives in the rural parts of Alabama, you know, Montgomery or somewhere like in the South. Like, they may be more sensitive to the N-word than someone in New York or in DC or in the North, like in those areas where it's more black people, it's more diverse, it's not as racist. So it's not just about generation. Like, yeah, we can talk about the grandparents, but we can talk about people today. The reason I wanted to have the conversation about who is black before we had this conversation is because if you watch my last video, then you know who I am talking about when I say who is black. Not meaning you have a black great-great-great-great-grandma, meaning that you present as black and you have black experiences. That can be with police treating you differently. That can be when you walk in the store and they treat you differently, or not getting a job, not getting accepted, or being called a nigga. All of these things are what is a part of our culture. Is the reason that we wanted to take power back into this word is because of the hurt that it came with, but we changed it. It's just like do-rags. Do-rags didn't start off as something to get waves. Do-rags didn't start off as something that was like positive. Do-rags were used, like in history with slaves and everything, was used to cover our hair because white people felt uncomfortable. There's many different reasons why we wear rags around our heads and things like that. There's many different historical reasons for a lot of things that we do in our culture that I don't think a lot of black people actually inquire about, because one, it's not taught to us, And it's just our culture, so we don't question it. But these are things that are a part of our culture that have really deep meanings, like the do-rag or the N-word. Like, it has historical meaning, and then we changed it into something else for us to build a culture to be proud of. Because when we were brought here as slaves, a lot of things were stripped from us. Our names, our religion, our families. They literally changed our names on purpose so that we could not have a connection to our past life. Because your past life is not existent. You are now a slave. You serve me. This is your new name. That's your sister? Okay, you're going to Missouri. You're going over here. Like, you know, it's like, probably not Missouri, girl. Probably Alabama. But you know what I mean? Like, you're going to Alabama, you're going to Georgia. Like, they literally split families and cultures on purpose so that we would have no sense of it. They did not want us to have culture. So we started taking what we had and making it our own. And that's what the N-word is for us. Now, look. I personally feel if you do not have any context with the word nigga, then you cannot use it. Now, what I mean by that is, if I walk into a racist building, I am subjected to be called a nigga. I look like a nigga. There's no ambiguity here. You know I'm black. You know I'm black. Okay? So I am a nigga. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I'm a slave, I'm a nigga. I'm just saying, when white people look at me, that is a thing. My grandparents have stories of being called nigga. Like, I have context with that word. I have been told what that word means at school and what it means at home. Now, I don't feel like if your parents were ever called a nigga, if you wouldn't walk in a place and they wouldn't call you a nigga, your grandparents ain't never been called a nigga, then you don't have the right to be using it. And I really don't care, like, what percentage black you are. Like, I really don't care which great-great-grandparent of yours was black. I don't care what country you're from. I don't care. Like, if you are not subjected or have any context with being called a nigga, I don't feel like you have the right to use that word. And I don't care where you're from. I don't care where you were brought up. I don't care where you were brought up, everybody was cool with you using that word. Okay, now if we want to use that type of ideology, we can affirm white people, because there are some white people that have grown up and been affirmed and said, like, it's cool that you use nigga. You know, like, it's cool that you call black people nigger. Now, at some point, black people told them that was wrong, and we told them we wanted respect and civil and human rights, and then they learned to stop using that word. Okay? So if you want to use the ideology of, oh, I was raised, I'm sorry, I'm going to single you out. I was raised in New York. I'm from blah, blah, blah. I'm from the Bronx. I'm from Brooklyn, whatever. I was raised, nobody ever had a problem then. Nobody ever had a problem with that then. Okay? Nobody had a problem with racism for a very long time. That didn't make it right. You know what I mean? Like, that ideology is invalid. And then you're using that ideology of saying, like, oh, I'm from New York, and then I can go to California, or I can go to Japan, or I can go to France, and I can use nigga, and I can call somebody a nigga. And, like, baby, New York is one place in the entire world. Your city, or wherever you live, not only just New York, wherever you live where they told you it was okay, that you are not black, and that you are using nigga, it was okay, that was that one place. That was those three people. There are millions of black peoples and millions of niggas in America. So I don't see why you think this one block, this bus stop, this math room, the lunchroom, why you feel like that equates to the world. Because I could do this in this one little room, I can do it everywhere else. And this pushback, this is one of the reasons that I'm doing this video, is because I think my silence is compliance, like I said in my other video. And by not speaking about it, I'm complying, and then people think there's no pushback and there's no consequences. This is that pushback. The reason we keep talking about it is because nobody's listening. And there's a lot of non-black people, not just white, but a lot of non-black people that keep using the word. And they're not getting pushback, so they think it's fine. They're getting 20,000 retweets, so they think it's fine. They're getting 100K views, and they think it's fine. It's not. It's not. If you have never been called a nigga in your life, you know, you may not admit it, but you know nobody would ever call you a nigga, girl. Nobody would ever call you a nigga. Nobody has ever looked at you and called you a nigga. Now look, there are some words that they will call you that I won't be able to say because I would never be called that. We don't look the same. We come from different countries, girl. We have different cultures. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with the little differentiation. It's not segregation, just differentiation. You like apples, I like oranges. We don't need to both like the same thing. We don't need to be from the same place. We don't need to have the same experiences. Let's acknowledge that and respect that. Nigga was a word in America. Like, nigga is a word in America. America. It's English. It was made in America. Now, yes, there are different forms of that word in different countries. Like in France, I used to live in France. I know about that history. It's nègre, like it's nègre, like it's spelled differently. It's the French word for Negro, but nigger, but it's the French word. We're not using that word. Y'all can use that word. That's different. Y'all have context with that word. I would not move to France and start using that word because it's not my history. That's not my history. I would say nigga. That's mine. Over there, they could use that word. That's their history. Now, people that come from different countries, like Spanish-speaking countries, and then they come here, and then they want to use that word, but they have no context and no history with the word. The only history you have with that word is the black friend in elementary school used to say it. So then you start to say it, but he never had a problem with it. So now it's cool, because it's just a part of your vocabulary. There's a lot of words that was a part of our vocabulary that we don't use in other spaces. Bitch is a part of your vocabulary. You don't use it at work because you know it's not appropriate. Slut is a part of your vocabulary. You don't use that at work because you know it's not appropriate. Now, why is nigga the only word that y'all feel comfortable to use everywhere? Like, yes, an African person that moves to America today can use that word because he's going to be subjected to the same consequences as a black American because white people don't give a damn. But that's because of how he looks. We get back to how you look. So yes, an African person can use it when they get here because of that, but they don't have any history with it, and I doubt they would want to really use it. They probably wouldn't even really use it until after a couple of years where it just becomes a part of their everyday life. And so when I see people that use it with no history with the word, it bothers me only because I feel like African Americans need to be more protective with our culture. We are just so open and so loving and so receptive, and it's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, everybody else is not like that. When it comes to our culture, everybody wants to bite our culture and be a part of it and contribute. But when it comes to theirs, we can't do it to theirs. We can't contribute to their culture. People want to be a part of our culture, and if we try to contribute or whatever with other people's culture, it's a problem. So I'm here to protect my culture as an African American and as a descendant of American slaves. So when it comes to the N-word, if you have no context with it and you are never subjected to be called it, I don't feel like you should be using it. I don't care where you're from. I don't care. Okay? Now, if you look black, you're subjected to be called a nigga. Okay? Because you look black. Of course, you can reclaim that word because it's used as a derogatory term against you. They're using it to tear you down. So then you can use it to build yourself up. Now, if nobody's ever using that word to tear you down, I don't see what are you doing? You're just taking from other people. That's not yours to take back. It's not. I just wish people would just stop trying to take from African American culture. I just wish people could appreciate it. Like, I just want you to appreciate it, and that's it. Like, we don't want you to be a part of it. We don't. We don't. In conclusion, I want people to start holding their friends responsible. If people are never subjected to being called a nigga, if they wouldn't walk into a racist place and never be called a nigga, they'd be called something else, let them use that something else. Don't let them use nigga, okay? If your grandma ain't got no story of being called a nigga, girl, your mama ain't got no story, you ain't got no story of ever being called a nigga, why are you using it? Don't use it. They don't even use that word where you from. So why are you trying to use it? My name is Tarek Ali. I hope you enjoyed this video. I didn't plan it out. I just wanted to come and talk. And I want to start the conversation. What do you think? Love you guys. See ya. Love you. Girl. I'm tired. Love my baby. See you guys later.